All right, hello everybody. Welcome to Taped Crusaders, the podcast where we review every single superhero thing ever made in history. This is your co-host Mike Al, and as always, I'm joined by
Joshua Mervell, I guess. Today we're going to be talking about the 1990 Flash TV pilot.
That's right,
Yeah.
and we're always joined by Champion.
Always.
Yes.
Always.
Woo!
Sorry, guys.
It's
I'm still here.
okay.
I'm still here.
It's okay. He's never going away. So check this out.
Despite all the protesting in the
Yes,
comment
all the
section.
boycotts. 1990. Imagine this. I'm sitting in Mr. Dennison's class. The lights are out. The air conditioning's not on because it doesn't exist. And Kevin G says to me, "Are you ready tonight for the Flash pilot?" I was ready, man. And I watched this pilot, and I watched every episode of the show when it was on, and every single episode was terrible. Josh, what's your experience with the Flash?
I have zero experience with this Flash.
Interesting.
I don't even think I've seen very many images. Like I couldn't
Interesting. Okay.
even like if you showed me a picture.
Sure.
Maybe not now because I've seen the pilot, but if you showed me a picture from something from the show, I'd be like, I have no idea what that's from.
Okay.
Like I would obviously recognize
Sure,
the Flash, but
okay.
I'd be like, what's this? Cosplay?
Well, maybe
Right.
Champion.
Hi.
What do you know about the Flash?
I know he can run real fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know he wears like a red suit, and he's got some lightning bolt thing.
Sure.
I know that. I think it was. If we're going to be talking about high school, I think it was George Bazanich used to wear the Flash.
A Flash TV. I think he
t-shirt
still has it
in high
Yeah.
school. Like
Yes.
what?
Yep.
This must have been. Well, I mean, 1990. We would have been like 9th
He was wearing
grade.
it up into the mid '90s, '93, '94.
Yeah, but he
yes.
probably got it as a result
Sure.
of the buzz
Yes, the buzz around the
this
TV
television
show.
My
Yes.
God.
So let's just say the 30-second summary of the Flash character, one of many characters introduced in the 40s, canceled just like most of the superheroes. He was the first one brought back. The first reboot in history, in all of fiction and all of media, was The Flash, okay? And anyone watching this knows that, but I'm telling it for your sake,
me,
Champion.
'cause I don't know
Yes.
any of this.
So the original Flash was Jay Garrick. He wore blue pants. He had a yellow lightning bolt coming up. He had a Mercury-ish helmet pan on his head with little wings. Then in 1956-ish, Julius Schwartz said, "Why don't we bring back that character that we canceled and give him a new identity?"
He said something racist.
Yeah,
probably.
probably.
Well, it was the 30s.
Yeah. We'll change his name to Barry Allen instead of Jay Garrick. And instead of this costume, we'll give him a new one, all red with a lightning bolt, somewhat inspired by the original Captain Marvel. And it would just, instead of being in Keystone City, he's in Central City. His powers are the same, but instead of getting his powers from going for a smoke break and then passing out and breathing in hard water fumes, instead he gets struck by lightning and gets the power of running
Wait,
fast.
Let's rewind for 2 seconds. Hard water fumes.
Yes, that's how he got his powers.
That's so hard steam.
I guess so. Yeah. No, this is
Water fumes.
This
or
is
steam?
like futuristic, science fiction fumes. Okay, it's different.
Oh.
It's
Try and
all
keep
different.
up.
Yeah.
Well,
Come on. Trying to follow along.
Turn this way.
So anyway, this Flash character was huge. He started the whole reboot of all Green Lantern, Atom, Hawkman, all those characters, which started the Silver Age of comics. Time goes by. He's still popular, but he gets canceled, then he gets brought back, then he dies, then he gets replaced by his nephew, Wally West. Now it's 1990. Apparently, these producers had already pitched the show before the Batman movie hit. But then the Batman movie hit.
Interesting.
And they were like, why don't we make it exactly like Batman?
Yeah, I was going to say, I can definitely see the course correction in this.
Yeah.
Even down to hiring Danny Elfman to do the score for this, right?
I know.
It almost just sounds like Batman.
Well, and we should also point out that the Flash comic book was very lighthearted, bright colors, nice guy. There's not really much tragedy or darkness or violence. And then this show comes along and kind of recasts Barry Allen Flash as a Batman-esque superhero. But I'm not going to say any more because, Champion, you've never seen the show. You don't know anything about Flash.
No.
Why don't you tell our viewers the 45-second summary of the plot of this show. What
45
happens?
second summary of the plot of this show. Okay, this is one of these when we do movies and screenings here at Meteor.
Yes.
We don't screen things like The Flash
Shitty
1990
movies.
TV pilot
We should,
because
though.
nobody comes out anyway. But like extra nobody, like
Yeah.
you guys might
Negative.
not even show up,
Yeah,
and I'd be sitting here by
exactly.
myself watching the Flash TV pilot, and then sitting up here and doing a podcast, like a lonely podcast by
Yes.
myself. That's what I predict would happen. So we watched Mad Max Fury Road
Yes.
instead of this guy.
Yes.
Probably a wise decision. I
had
it's-
fun.
Yeah, I had fun too. What do I remember of The Flash? The Flash opens up in the Australian outback, and Max Rockatansky eats a lizard. We've got a Barry. What's Barry? It doesn't matter what Barry's
Allen.
last
Barry
name.
Allen.
Barry Allen. He's a loser cop. His family doesn't respect him.
Right.
He's the lab geek.
Forensic scientist.
He's the forensic scientist, and there's a problem in Capital City, Central City.
Central City. There's a
where
gang of
there's a
hooligans.
gang of hooligans riding motorcycles, throwing exploding water balloons at people,
Yeah.
and
phosphorus, like
Yeah.
gel packets. Yeah.
this gang of no goodniks. They're up to something. There is some forensics that he's got to that Barry has to analyze. So he goes to the lab. He's up all night. Lightning strikes the lab at some point and explodes near all these chemicals, and he gets chemicals on him. And then he wakes up and he can run real fast. He doesn't know what's going on. There's a government lab that starts to do some work on him.
Star Labs.
Star Labs. It's and very, very pretty doctor that there's some sexual tension between the two of them. After that, there's I don't know.
Well, then what happens is
his brother gets
he has
killed.
a brother played by a 44-year-old actor playing a 40-year-old character, but looks 64.
He's so old.
Because
He's the
it's
same age as their dad.
Yes, because
Yeah.
it's the 90s. They all look like 20 years older than they actually were.
But the Flash has to avenge
because
his
he gets
brother's
killed
death.
by this terrorist gang. I guess they're a terrorist motorcycle gang, right? They have
I guess so.
They have an
Except
underground headquarters.
Which they took over from the Foot Clan once Shredder was defeated.
Actually, I was going to
Or
say
like,
the
like-
gang of vampires from Lost Boys.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I was thinking Demolition Man.
Okay,
The
okay.
underground
city.
Yes,
The-
yes.
and did they have a name? They had a symbol.
Dark
which was
Riders or something.
which was a
Or, I don't know.
spot of
Spot
blood.
Yeah, it was
blood.
like, and then I love when Barry Allen's like, "Well, they've got their logo, well, I've got mine," and it's like the lightning bolt and circle. But yeah, basically the whole idea is that they need somebody to defeat these bad guys, and then at some point they kill Jay Allen, his brother.
Yeah.
And then he has to avenge him. So then, meanwhile, he's been doing tests on his powers with Tina McGee, wearing this red kind of like frictionless suit. And then he's like, "Now I need you to add gloves so I can have leave no fingerprints, and a mask so I can hide my identity."
Well,
and
he could really just go to Walmart and get like
I
a
know,
pair
a
of gloves
ski
and a
mask.
mask. Like
I
he's got
know.
everything else. He's got the important stuff.
Good point. So then he becomes the Flash.
Right.
But I don't think they call him the Flash. They call him the Ghost, don't they? Or the Red
they do
Ghost.
call him the Flash,
Okay.
but they do
He
also call
calls
him like the
himself a
demon.
demon.
Yeah.
You saw a
But
demon.
and you know, I don't mind the way that he came up with the Flash thing, where he's like trying to scare them, whatever. I don't know. This whole thing really blows. It was just so boring.
So
I wanted it to be good so bad. So much of it I thought worked on paper.
yeah.
But it the execution was terrible. And I know this is a TV show, but it was filmed such like a TV show. I couldn't. There were moments that just gave me shivers when they were sitting at the dinner table and they're like, "Well, we have our dessert now. Should we move to the other room?" Like, yes. So we watched them all stand up, grab their dinner plates with their cake, tuck in their chairs, and slowly meander over to the next room in one take, far away into the other room as we watch them just slowly. Like that's this
Inexperienced
whole
filmmakers.
movie for me.
Yeah.
Is just or this episode. I'm gonna call it a movie because that's what it was.
Sure,
really.
whatever.
Certainly long enough.
Yeah. It's an hour and a half pilot. I'm assuming like the Incredible Hulk movies, or not the Incredible. Yeah, they were like backdoor pilots.
Well, yeah,
and then there was.
It was literally just the first episode. Then the next week there was the second episode. Yeah, but it just happened to be an hour long.
Hour and a half.
Or whatever.
Yeah, it was long.
Well, on TV,
it was
that
long.
2 hours.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So the thing is, I know what you mean. Like I felt like it's every scene I was like, oh, it's almost good. It's almost watchable.
Yeah.
But they would do something stupid, like even the guy who played the actor, who's a famous actor. The guy who played the father. He's a famous actor.
He was in Fletch.
Yeah,
yes. He was the doctor.
I was gonna say he's the doctor. Using the whole fist there, Doc. yes, that's right. And even
isn't there a children's book called Babar?
Yeah, exactly. Even
this
he was
is now a Fletch
like,
podcast.
Yeah, exactly. He's kind of like a little bit over the top. Okay, the brother was. I'm sorry, he was a terrible. He's a veteran actor. He was terrible. He was terrible.
Yeah. He's completely unlikable, and it doesn't serve the plot of your story if when he dies you're like,
okay,
shit. But we had to have the obligatory no.
Oh my god, that was so over
bad.
the top.
I know.
So like
and also
at
we
his
have to point
aim.
out in the comics, because I think you asked this before the show. In the comics, Jay Garrick is the original Flash on Earth 2.
Right.
And then Barry Allen is the Flash on Earth 1. So they meet each other eventually, but they're not brothers, obviously.
That's what I was going to say. I thought maybe it was one of those weird comic coincidences where they just happen to have the same name, or maybe it was a reference.
It was just like it was an Easter egg.
I had never seen that. Okay.
But he never had a brother in the comics. But this was a way for the show to have the Batman tragedy. Instead of his parents dying, his brother dies. He has to avenge his brother. It's garbage, right? Even as a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old, I was like, why do they need this, right? It's unnecessary.
Yeah, and it was also just weirdly written because this bad guy for the Flash was already a bad guy towards his brother. Yeah. And we're like meeting him weirdly through him secondhand. Yeah. And then we're supposed to kind of like root for him to get revenge. Like I don't know.
There was backstory there, and they barely touched upon it. The fact that what was his name? Kane or something? The villain.
No one. I don't even remember what his name was.
He's got scars over his face.
I don't know. I got these scars.
And there was some scene, I forget what they were going for, but how do you know all this? Well, because I wrote this book, and they show the book, and it's the police motorcycle handbook. So okay, this guy was an ex-motorcycle cop.
Sure.
And there's a history with the Flash's brother, but that you get one little second of that, and that's it. Had they fleshed that out a little bit? Maybe do a flashback. Maybe show something where they're buddies. Or the reason he gets betrayed.
Yeah, the reason he's a disgraced cop is because Barry found like evidence or something and handed it over, and then his brother then like turned on his partner and had him arrested or thrown off the course. So then like
hardly
Barry
a
is like
betrayal, though.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like again, we acknowledge these writers are not good, but even if they just had a little bit of smarts, they could have gone, okay, this villain is over the top, one-dimensional. This motorcycle gang underground headquarters, screw all that. Like you said, it's an ex-cop. There's some story there. Make him less cartoonish. Give him like a logical motivation. And what is this motorcycle gang terrorizing people with green phosphorus,
glow in the dark Christmas balls?
Yeah, Christmas balls. Like, just make it a logical villain. If you're gonna do like, they could have done like the Flash has a huge rogues gallery. Okay, fine, you're not gonna use them, but at least make the villain logical. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. Not logical, not interesting,
Or make them fun enough where I like watching them on screen.
Yeah, sure.
There's never a moment where I'm like, oh, yeah.
But this actor was over the top, right? They all look like idiots. Oh, man. We could go through all of them. Okay, we acknowledge the bad guy's an idiot. Mm-hmm. What about the girl sidekick to the bad guy? She was even annoying, eh?
Well, I mean, that was Ensign Sonia Gomez from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
I was wondering, okay, which show?
From Star Trek. Yeah, which episode?
Yeah, there's three Star Treks I watched.
From the Next Generation.
Okay, I knew her from something.
She was in a very early episode, the first episode where they met the Borg.
Oh wow!
And she is the ensign who spilled hot chocolate on Captain Picard.
Gotcha. Oh my God.
She was in 2 episodes.
Okay.
2 episodes. Great character on Star
Okay.
Trek. They should have done more
That
with her.
actually happens to be one of the episodes that I watched.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've only
interesting.
watched like a
'Cause
dozen
I
or
told
so.
You, to watch the
yeah,
Borg
yeah.
intro. Okay.
There's actually there's a bunch of Star Trek connections when it comes to the
Interesting.
cast of this. There's her. There is I think Sergeant Cooper, the dude with a mustache. He was the guy that Kirk talked to in Search for Spock when he's trying to get the
Are you
Enterprise
serious?
back. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Interesting.
You're my best officer, but I'm commander of Starfleet. I don't break rules.
Wow.
That was him.
Okay.
Huh.
And not in this episode, but I was going through the cast because I was doing a little bit of research. And Jerry Ryan, who played 7 of 9.
Yes, I saw that
in-
too. I
yep.
looked ahead. Yep.
Jeffrey Combs, who played Wayum in Deep
Yes.
Space Nine.
Yep.
There's a bunch of Star Trek connections there. It's almost as though they just wholesale, like they had the lot won
Streamlined.
over,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, hey, who wants to be in the Flash? Like,
Right.
Yeah,
you.
okay.
Like,
Did you read who plays the trickster?
I don't know who the trickster
Mark
is.
Hamill.
Oh my
Mark
God.
Hamill, yeah, in at least 1 or 2 episodes, and they brought Mark Hamill back for the 2020 Flash TV show where he plays the trickster.
Mark Hamill
Again.
played Luke Skywalker
Yeah,
in an obscure
exactly,
movie
yeah.
called Star Wars.
Oh, I think I've heard of that.
It's
Never heard of
terrible.
it.
It's terrible.
So, okay, Josh, do you have your
Yeah.
Wikipedia open here? So we got to talk about the lead actor. Is it John Wesley Shipp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always felt like he was an over actor, like just a soap opera actor. I don't know. What did you think, Josh?
Yeah, but this felt like a soap opera.
Yeah, I'm just
So,
saying.
I don't know. He was fine for this version of the Flash. I don't know. I so many things would have to change for me to be like, oh, he doesn't fit this movie.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
He was like the least of our worries.
Yeah. He was fine. I don't know.
Yeah.
He looked the part. Like he has this kind of like smug, but also like every man kind of face.
Yeah, yeah.
He
wasn't terrible. I just never
know.
loved him. I don't
Yeah.
know. Ian, what do you think?
He was hamming it up.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
something needed to happen
Uh-huh.
in a cast of totally flat acting.
Right.
It was nice for someone to be doing something. I didn't really buy him though as the joke of the family embarrassing cop, right? Like he's too handsome, he's too buffed up, and he's too good at his job for his dad to be poking fun at him all the time. Oh, your desk job, and I didn't buy any of that. I don't know. In terms of his acting, though, you're right. There's too much wrong with this to zero in on him.
Okay, what about this? What about his costume? I actually thought it was
like the costume.
pretty cool. I mean, this is post Batman, but they obviously were not going to do just straight spandex, but they kind of developed this new style.
I like the costume provisionally. I thought it was really silly at first.
Okay.
When a doctor from Star Labs just dresses him up in this,
Yeah.
and he doesn't have the gloves or the mask
Right.
yet, and the neckline ends here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just this weird muscle suit. Why are you wearing a muscle suit?
That's true. That's
you
true.
look like half of a superhero.
Yeah.
I also didn't. I like that they explain the muscle suit though, at least in the movie, where it's like spandex that's forming to my skin, but then it's like padding it out. Why is that? And it's like, oh, it's because of the friction, because you're moving so fast. It's like, oh, okay, that's why it looks like a superhero suit. Sure. I thought that those small things, like even again coming up with the name Flash, I feel like all of that weirdly worked for me. Like all of the weird superhero stuff that they have to like, that works totally fine in a comic book, but then when it's like a live action thing, it feels like clunky to introduce. I was weirdly okay with it in this one. It's the one thing for me that like worked. I don't know. I maybe because everything else was so slow. When something weird and corny happened, I was like, okay, this is fun. I can.
Well, the other thing
it's a thing happening.
Yeah.
The other thing I liked was the metabolism thing, which was introduced by Mike Barron in the reboot of 1987. He came up with the idea of, he's got to consume all these calories because he's burning them so fast. That's a cool idea because it adds a little bit of comedy, a little bit of also it's a weakness because if he runs out of calories, he can be weak, which we saw in the show, that subplot of like the kind of. It's almost like
a seizure.
Almost like a seizure.
And I think that's how they describe it in the context of the the pilot too, which I don't know if that's really relating to his.
I wish that they
food intake.
I wish they went more into depth of it being connected to the food intake.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was
because
they didn't
never.
Quite explain it.
He just started having dizzy spells, and
the only thing that I really take away
like
from
a bag
that,
of chips or something.
Yeah,
you know,
or
like funny and
thing of orange juice. Like, oh, my glucose levels are low. But the only thing that I remember from that is that he had a seizure in a critical moment, and the bad guy pushed him into a hole. And then like, oh no, what's going to happen? And then 30 seconds later, he's back. Oh hey, remember me? Like,
it was kind of like shoehorned
into
the story.
How did you get out of this?
Yeah, he didn't do anything to get out of it. You're right. Okay, so now we have the actress that played Iris West, who was his girlfriend with the hat. Do you have her up there, Josh?
Let's see.
I always thought she was just okay, not like the Iris West in the comics at all. I think the hat was maybe a little bit too 80s for me. Ian, what did you think?
I thought Iris was fine.
Okay.
I don't think that she fit into the story.
Sure.
And I don't know. I think for me, I can't see, like, she played an artist. She's got like a show that she's like, hey, you come to my show. Right. And she's dating a cop. Artists don't date cops, right? Cops date like suburban yoga instructors.
That's a good point.
He wouldn't be
or
dating
real estate speculators.
Or real estate speculators. I don't know. This is just my
outlandish.
The way that the world appears to me. I can't see them being together. I can't see her giving two shits about what he's doing.
Sure.
It's just a bit of a mismatch there, I think.
Yeah.
And we don't know her name, so
the wiki has like the whole show, and not just the first episode. I don't think she comes back.
No, she doesn't.
Because that's why.
Way down on the
Because it has the three mains, which is Barry Allen, Tina McGee, and then Julio Mendez, his lab partner.
Yes.
And then after that, it's just recurring characters, and she doesn't even show up.
So she was written out, because I've seen the whole show. I don't think she showed up again. But now we can talk about Tina McGee, played by British actress
Amanda Pays.
Amanda Pays?
Yep.
Pays. She was fine. She was a good actress. Her character was a little bit interesting because she had a backstory that she helped a previous super speedster. And so she had a little bit of like a cloud hanging over her that she was worried that Barry was going to succumb to the same fate.
It was her husband.
Her husband.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, her husband. I thought that was kind of cool. And she's a good actress, right?
Yeah.
What do you think? Ian?
Yeah, she was fine.
I bought her as a scientist too.
Yeah.
Like all the like science mumbo jumbo she's talking about, I believe.
She
her driving around in the van.
I didn't care for her office with the
purple lights.
The purple lights and like the block glass wall.
Oh yeah, I noticed
the half wall that sort
they
of
used it twice.
Through.
Yep, yeah. I know.
Like this is not a doctor's office. This is
good point.
Like it's a spa.
That's probably like the budget. They're just like, okay, use this dentist's office at night. The guy's not here, whatever. Yeah. Okay, Julio Mendez, played by the guy from Swingers,
Alex Désert.
Yeah, I actually like this actor. Did you ever see Swingers, Ian?
No.
Oh fuck, it's a great movie. But he's got a really cool vibe, and usually in these types of TV shows, this is like the funny guy sidekick.
Yeah, the sidekicks never work.
They never work, but I think this guy worked. I thought he was smooth. What'd you think?
I think too they don't use him a whole lot, which I think helps. I wonder how annoying this character gets in the show when they're like going episodic and like amping up the comedy.
Right.
But I thought in this one it was good. I also bought him as a scientist. Like I think he played his role fine, and I didn't want any more of him. I feel like it was like the perfect amount of like best friend kind of in the background, helping every once in a while.
Yeah, I just like it. Yeah, Ian, what did you think?
You know what I wanted more of was that dude's shirts. He had the
really fun. Yeah,
he had the most fun wardrobe in the entire show. Just these typical '90s sort of hip hoppy, buttoned up all the way to here,
real baggy,
like loud,
like
probably silk. Just like
right.
They dressed that guy, and
he was
solid. He was solid.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing: we've covered almost all the main actors. We got to talk about Danny Elfman's score. I mean, Danny Elfman's great, but I just don't think it's appropriate for this show. What do you think?
That's the thing, right? Yeah, it's not appropriate for the show. It also doesn't have an original tune. You know, like there's no like theme that plays when the Flash shows up.
Good point.
Like everybody knows the ba 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 bum bum.
Yep.
Like that. Nothing like that ever happens here.
Yep.
I don't know. It was fine, but I don't think it was memorable. Besides the fact that it was Danny Elfman.
I agree. Champion.
Yeah, it was obviously Danny Elfman. You can pick out Danny Elfman a mile away, but it felt as though an AI did something in the style of Danny Elfman.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right?
That's
Like
a good
this
example.
is just sort of unfocused, Elfman-ish music, but it also came and went. You'd hear like, okay, he's Elfman's writing this bit, and then 15 minutes of the episode go by, and it's scored by somebody else, and it just doesn't sound.
And then all of a sudden,
and then Elfman's back, but not in a way that really is compelling or grabs you or does anything to get you excited about what's happening. I think they just used him for the name more than anything else.
I also got to point out that Shirley Walker co-wrote some of the score, and Shirley Walker was the one who wrote the official theme for the Batman animated series, which is adapted from Danny Elfman's score.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a connection there. This is 2 years before the animated series. That's kind of cool.
You know, I think too, we never get any like moments with the characters slow or thinking with the score, and I feel like that also takes away from it not being memorable, right? Like,
yeah, that could be it.
It's never. I feel like there's never like a slower moment. It's all just that like trumpet.
I didn't even remember the theme. I didn't remember what it was. Right? It was just so generic. Generic Elfman. I was like, and that's the thing is like I've mentioned before. I think the show was trying too hard to be Batman with the cinematography, the look of Central City. But again, it seems like every time a Batman movie comes out, everyone else tries to follow it, right? Like, Tim Burton's Batman, then even Nolan's Batman. And I love those movies, but not every superhero has to be like Batman. That's just my thing. So overall, this show, it was kind of, to be honest, it was like 5% better than I remembered it to be. So that's a good thing. But at the same time, it still wasn't good. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, it also wasn't like awful where.
Right, I didn't hate it.
A lot of the stuff that we've reviewed,
like every episode
I'm just like,
of the show. Yeah.
I need to turn this off. I can't watch any more of this. At least in this one, I'm like, it's fine. I don't know. It's almost just like boring. At this point, it feels like a CW show. Really, it kind of has that same like.
CW shows are better though. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The Flash CW show is actually much better.
But even then, like some episodes, I feel like of CW shows are like.
Oh yeah, some are terrible. Some are horrendous writing.
Yeah, so it's pretty inoffensive.
Yes.
I
actually didn't think it was boring. I just think it was bad.
I thought it was boring.
Okay. Ian, what do you think? Boring or bad or both?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
It really felt its length and then some. It started off and I was like, oh, this is not as bad as I was expecting it to be. But as it went on, I found myself. Okay, here's my big problem with this. I found myself identifying more with the villains than with our heroes.
Interesting.
Right? Because you got this cop family, right? You got Barry's a cop, his brother's a cop, his dad's a cop. They're all cops, bunch of cops. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit, but a bunch of cops. And then you have this interesting criminal underworld. But as you get to know the criminals, you got Kane. He's going up. He's giving a speech. He's like, "What have the cops ever done for you? What has the city ever done for you? Like you've been out on the streets. You've been starving. Now what? Now you're fed. You're housed. You've got you've got a little society to sustain you with." I'm like, all right, yeah. Society has let these people down, and this guy, sure, he's a villain. Sure, he's blowing up fancy cars with little green water balloons. But had they toned him down just a little bit, right? Like, had they eliminated the mayhem, then you've got going back to Demolition Man again, where it turns out that this underground civilization, these are the good guys. Mm-hmm. These are the people that have been sort of trodden upon. So I'm identifying more with the criminals than I am with the people who are hunting the criminals. So I'm kind of rooting against our hero. Mm-hmm. So I can't, I don't know, I couldn't stay into it because I'm like, you know what, you're an asshole. Just let these guys ride their motorcycles around underground, hanging out with the Punisher under there, I'm sure.
Yeah. I feel like they didn't even, besides the green water balloons, what did they do that was bad?
Well, that's a good point.
They rode around on their motorcycles all together at night.
First of all,
made too much noise. Like
it's just a stupid motivation for a bad guy to just wreak havoc. I mean, it always has been. At least if they were, I don't know, doing something like robbing banks and then killing people, or doing something and then, oh, look at all the people they're accidentally killing. But because it's a TV show and maybe they want to wear the kid gloves, oh, they're riding around throwing these green water balloons into cars and blowing them up. But, like, so what? And it's so outrageous that, like, nobody can stop them. Here they come. Oh, look, there they go. Like, just follow them and find them. Like, come on. It's just so outrageous. So, again, you have a case of a superhero. What?
Every cop in the city is standing in a group. And they drive by and they have like little pew, pew, pew. We're like, whoa, what can we do?
That's what
There's
I mean.
nothing that any of us can do.
I know, it's helpless. But it's like...
If only we were faster, we could catch them.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like... remember, what was the show? What was it, Punisher? We're like, what we need is some kind of... Punisher. Was it Punisher? Or which movie was it that we watched?
No, we need some kind of Daredevil. That was from the Hulk. From the Hulk.
That's right. Some kind of Daredevil. Yeah, that's exactly what we need. Some kind of Flash to run real fast. Luckily, no. So basically, the villains are stupid. And the thing is that this is, again, trying to make a superhero kids show more realistic and more dark and more violent, but not going all the way. And so it falls apart because it doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
So you might as well almost do Adam West Batman and just not worry about it.
Flash as a concept is goofy.
It's more like it's a Silver Age 1950s concept.
You know, I was thinking about this while watching it. I'm like, what villain could they introduce in the TV show that could go up against the Flash?
Well, I mean, in the comics, you've got the Turtle, the world's slowest man. You've got Captain Cold. You've got the Weather Wizard. There's a lot of cool villains. I mean, there's the Reverse Flash. The CW show did it, right?
That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, well, it's going to be another fast guy, and then after that, what happens, right?
Yeah.
And so he went up against a guy in a leather jacket in this one.
I know.
You know,
and you know what's funny is for a guy that can run the speed of sound, I think in this show, there's a couple times where like they stab him, don't they?
Yeah.
It's like, wait, how did they do that? If he can run, right? It doesn't make sense.
Well, and you just hold your knife out and you wait for him to run into it. He does all the work for you.
Yeah. In the comics, the whole idea too is that he has quick reaction, like he can think faster than the speed of light or whatever. But in the show, he runs fast, but he thinks and acts just like a normal person.
Right. And like the bad guy doesn't trap him and tire him out so that he can't use his powers.
Right.
He just happens to run into the bad guy's lair and then have an asthma attack right in front of him. You know what I mean? Like,
is someone eating peanuts around here?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I have nothing good really to say about the show, but I will say, Champion, one day you should watch season 1 of the CW Flash TV show because it's actually really good. Anyway, okay, that wraps up a review of the Flash. I think, right? Do we have anything else to say?
Yeah, probably.
No, I have nothing else to say about this.
I got one more thing to say. I'm going to expound upon you're saying the Flash is goofy. Some of the best parts in this little pilot, I think, were when the Flash was being intentionally goofy.
Yeah.
And when he started doing that, I sort of perked up a little bit. Like, oh, is this going to suddenly become interesting? Mm-hmm. When he's fucking with him, yeah, that is fun. Watching him
yes,
fuck around with these guys. Yeah.
I was like, this is smart.
Yeah,
this
show
is smart.
me more of that, because what's he going to do?
Yeah.
He's not going to use his speed to like knock people over when they're chasing him so much. What he's going to do is he's going to get them in a place where they've got, their guns out, like they were in the armory or the police station or whatever they were at. And he's going to zip around, and he's like, oh, he took his gun away. Where'd my gun go? More of that shit.
I totally agree, and turn them against each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't think I
He
finished.
turned up the radio.
Right.
That's perfect.
That was
Yeah,
smart.
yeah.
That
Keep
was the
doing
best
that.
part.
Yeah.
I agree.
And that scene ended in 20 seconds.
It was so quick. I don't think I finished my thought. That's where I was getting with that. The Flash is not Batman. I would prefer if it was goofy like that
Yes,
for the
I
whole
agree.
thing. Like
Right.
the Danny Elfman score does not fit. The dark tone, the fact that it's based around a cop story, none of that fits. I wish it were just like a goofy, fun.
You're right.
Superhero
Have some
story.
fun,
Yeah.
yes, and go that route, because in the Flash comics, like over time, he has all these great villains. Eventually, there's a Flash museum. He travels to the future. He comes back. There's so many great science fiction ideas they could do instead of making it like a second-rate Batman, right? So that's what they should have done. You're right. That was a great idea. But here's the thing, guys. Next episode of the show, we're going to be reviewing the 1990 Marvel movie Captain America.
Oh, God.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
So be sure to join us for Marvel's answer to Batman. Okay, it's going to be a good one.
It's not going to
We
be
want
a
to
good
thank
one.
Champion as usual. Come every week to Movie Night at Meteor
Every week.
every Wednesday at 7 o'clock.
Except for not this Wednesday, the next one.
Except for May 22nd.
May 22nd.
Any other Wednesday.
We have a
here.
Pakistani death metal band playing here on Wednesday the 22nd.
That's
So
so
come out
sick.
for that.
Come up for that as well.
Yeah.
And Josh, you can take it from here.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. You can find all of our stuff over on our website at thecomicbooksyndicate.com. All of our podcasts are video formats, so you can also check them out on our YouTube channel. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about the stuff that we're talking about. And keep in touch. So,
That's right.
Yeah.
So until the next one, see you later.